Welcome to another Gunther's Garage. Today we're going to be doing some intake modifications on a 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 5.7 liter engine. It's going to be really similar on a 3.6 liter engine too, because the engine bays are very similar. And this actually, you could probably use some of this stuff on just about any car. You'll see what I do. It's really super simple. And if you have the same problem as I do and you don't like the way your car sounds, because they do make them super quiet from the factory, you could probably find some of the same stuff that I'm finding on here. I've actually done similar stuff to just about everything I ever own because, in my opinion, everything's too quiet. I love to hear that sweet engine noise. And you can, as we start driving here, you can actually hear the motor. There's plenty of performance. It's just super quiet. I'll show you a few things we can do to make it just a little bit peppier, sound a little bit better. What you're looking at here is the stock engine bay. First thing I noticed when I was trying to find intake mods is that you got a nice little snorkel there to pull in cold air, but then you've got this eyebrow right in the way. You can see it's hard to get in here, but it's sealing off. It's sealing that section off. First thing I did, and mine comes off easily because I've already done this. There's a little bit of glue is all that holds it on. Never mind, mine doesn't come off easily. Pull that off. Give yourself a nice clean path to that snorkel. That's going to give you a little more intake noise too. Second, and this one's really easy, and people are going to jump all over me for saying this is a power adder, but pull off the engine cover. Get it out of there. It weighs like 3 pounds anyway. How is this a power adder? Okay, before the internet comes after me. How did that get in there? Oh, well, since it's there, let's look at this meat thermometer, which, there you go, 170 degrees with that engine intake cover on. Alright, so we just took the exact same trip around the block that I drove around in the first time with you. I wish I would have thought to record the intake or the coolant temperature before, but I'm looking at it right now and I've already dropped, you know, it fluctuates, but I was around 199 to 203 before, down to 188 as we approached the last part of the trip. So you can see already how much of a difference that makes just pulling that intake cover off. And as we come in here, it's so hard to see. I don't know if this is going to show us what we need to see, but it's about 158 degrees. As soon as I pull it off, it's going to start cooling off, so you're just going to have to believe me. But anyway, we lost about 12 degrees on the intake itself. If you follow along to the next mod, we're actually going to need some tools. We're going to need a screwdriver and a 10mm socket or wrench. We're going to pull this off. I've already loosened mine, so I'm kind of cheating here, but make sure you don't get anything, snag anything and bust it. And this one is going to be purely for sound, purely for intake noise. We're going to take off the snorkel itself, and there's some air silencers here, and exact same thing on the other side. They're specifically made to silence the air as it comes into the engine. We're going to cut those off and go real hillbilly style and seal them off with duct tape. Alright, so here's that snorkel off the car. You can see the silencers. They're not I don't think they're actually pulling power from the car. I don't think you're going to actually gain power from this mod. And a lot of people will choose not to do this because it is kind of hillbilly methods. But I personally like it because I want to hear that air sucking in through the snorkel. And once it's down in the engine bay, you saw it before. It really is covered up pretty well, so nobody's really going to see that you've got duct tape here. I mean, you could even. I'm going to use a grinder because that's what I have. It's going to take it right off. You could use anything you've got. Use whatever you got to do this. Okay, so there's the cut piece. We got those two wings off. And I actually even opened up the snorkel part of it a little bit. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying you're going to get 20 horsepower, but by opening that up, you're going to get a little more air. So maybe you get a horse or two. I'm not going to make any promises, but we're definitely going to get some sound. And that's really what I'm after here. Canon air filter would really make this modification work even better that I'm doing. I am eventually going to make an intake for this, so I'm not going to go spend that $50 on a Canon filter today, knowing that I'm going to make an intake down the road. But if you want that factory look, but you still want a little more airflow, do what I've done here and then just put a Canon filter on there, and you're going to get a little bit more power out of it. So there you have it all put back together. Factory look. Only the keenest of eyes would even be able to tell a difference. But we've opened up this snorkel about 2 inches. We've taken off the silencers on the side that are specifically made to silence the air. I have no idea if this is going to pick up on the camera or not, but we'll see if you can actually hear the difference. My ears can hear it really well. It's quite a bit louder, sounds a lot better, and it's obviously not so loud that it's annoying. Do is in the trunk area, you can make yourself a little bit of room. So they put the spare tire underneath this hatch here, and sure it does look nice, but where am I supposed to put all that? You can do some really easy mods. Taking this spare tire out, take out the little carrying case for the jack, take out the spare tire, and then this little donut here that it sits on, take that out. Get your tire, flip it over the opposite direction. And this works for me. Now you might not have a toolbox to put in there, then you can keep it the other direction, but it'll slide around a little bit. If you flip it over, it will stay secure. Now one smart thing to do is, this isn't going to fit anymore, so you'll want to get a longer bolt and washer. That'll hold your spare tire down that way. This does have a latch on here, but if you got in a wreck or something, I don't know if I would trust that latch. So you want something to keep the spare tire secure. But I'm not going to show you all that right now. Make sure you have enough room to put these back in. Now you have room to put whatever you might need. You've got an extra 4 or 5 inches right here. I can actually fit my toolbox in there now. Tire tools still fit. You put them right there, they do not rattle at all. I've actually had this modification done. Put these in there where you've got soft stuff. I've had this modification done since the first day I bought this thing. and have not had any trouble with rattles. And then just whatever else you want to put in there, it all fits now. This still closes, still latches. So there's another free mod to do until you check your own local laws. But I pulled off the front license plate cover to even save a little more weight. Now, obviously, we didn't save 40 pounds off the car. We didn't. When it comes, like as you start modifying, if your goal is to reduce weight, especially on a 5,200 pound SUV, every ounce counts. So, I mean, this is just the beginning. Once we put headers on there, maybe a lighter exhaust, I mean, it's all going to add up. So, and here we've got everything piled up on a scale. You can see we lost about 6 pounds. It's not a ton of weight, but once you start adding it up with those other modifications, and then also consider the fact that we did it all for free. It's 100% reversible. It doesn't affect your emissions at all. I mean, so it's really just if you want more noise, you don't have the money to spend right now, it's fun to do. It's awesome. It works. And in case you saw all the modifications I did earlier and said, I kind of like them, but I just want more. It's still really way too quiet. Oh gosh, guys. The mufflers are only held on by 2 bolts. Alright, so when working on the exhaust, you got to be careful not to burn yourself. You want to warm it up a little bit so that the nuts come off easily, but you don't want it so hot that you burn yourself. It might help to use some gloves. Don't hurt yourself. Be smart. Now the other side is not as easily reversed, so make sure this is something you want to go through with before you follow my lead. Mainly it's just for fun and for my one fan out there. Hi, Mom. And you can hear it. It's still surprisingly quiet. That did not have the effect I thought it would, but it does have a nice little bit throatier growl. And for me, this is just a prelude to some modifications I'm going to be doing later. I'm going to get some SLP loudmouths on there. For me, this was a really good mod. It's up to you if you want to do something like this. Even though you're not going to get pulled over for the noise, when it comes to emissions time, almost everywhere, at least as far as I know, has a law about having a muffler on there. And I'm talking too much. Let's listen. There's really not any drone or anything. So I would be lying if I said that the pulling the mufflers off wasn't a little bit disappointing. I was hoping to be a little bit louder. A lot of people might think that's a good thing, though. They don't want it to be overpowering or illegal sounding. So it's up to you what you like. One thing that's not disappointing is they weigh about, oh gosh, you can't tell from this. They weigh about 15 pounds each. So we did just lose 30 pounds off the car. I mean, this isn't permanent, so I mean, we're going to obviously add a little more weight when we put the SLPs and some tips on there. But those mufflers are still, I think they're only like 5 pounds each. So we're going to lose 20-ish pounds, and those SLPs are going to sound great. But it was fun, and I'm going to leave it that way. Plus, in the future, I plan on changing out the resonator, and this is the piece I'm talking about. That's the big old hunk of steel. It's probably... looks like a resonator to me. Okay, the cats are up here, so I don't think that's an actual piece of emissions equipment. That's probably why we didn't get the noise, or I didn't get the noise I was hoping for by cutting the mufflers off, because this sucker's silencing the whole thing. So in the future, I'm going to delete that, just make it an H pipe, and then we'll put some SLP loudmouths on the rear, and then we should get the noise we're looking for. And the plan is to make it all reversible, so the pieces I get are going to have these same connections on there, and I'll weld that all together, and that'll be a future episode. And another thing you'll want to do if you're following along with me and doing this to your own car is make sure you get this exhaust and route it all the way out the back of the car. These are so far back that you're probably not going to have any trouble, but exhaust getting into the car is pretty dangerous. So just to be safe, make sure you route that exhaust all the way out. which I will be doing when I put the mufflers on there.